Hello, welcome back to Nurturing Moms. My name is Shiro, and thank you for those who have subscribed. If you haven't, please subscribe. I'm really excited about this video because I have a special guest, and her name is Khiloni. And today we are going to be discussing the pelvic floor. What is it and why is it important? Khiloni, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Nurturing Moms.
Thank you so much, Shiro.
First tell us who you are.
Okay.
And what your specialty is, and then we can go from there.
Okay. So I am a physiotherapist by profession. Okay. I then did my postgraduate training in women's health physiotherapy. Mm-hmm. So this is a specialist training. We're very few in East and Central Africa, and I'm one of the specialists here. And I predominantly work with women prenatally and postnatally to screen for any issues or any dysfunctions and sort of help them through that process and guide them to the right directions and help manage it. Secondary to a gynecologist. So that's what I do. Yes. I have an office and I founded Frontline Physiotherapy Kenya, which is based in Spring Valley, and that's where I operate from.
Okay, good. Thank you so much, Khiloni, and welcome.
Thank you.
You have a wealth of information. We've chatted a long time before, and I'm usually like, what? How? Really? So I want you to tell these moms what the pelvic floor is, because we hear a lot about it these days. The pelvic floor, the pelvic muscle, my pelvis is hurting. What is this and why is it so important for you?
Yeah, and Kegels, not to mention Kegels.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if I just sort of pick this up, and it's nice to sort of show this to people as they are where we talk about it, okay? So the pelvic floor is basically a group of muscles that sit at the base of your pelvis, just like a floor does at the base of your house, okay? And so this little thing here is the pelvis. This is a life-size model. And the red component that we see here is actually your pelvic floor. So it's just a group of muscles at the bottom. It's a very important muscle because it holds your pelvic organs like your bladder, your uterus, and your rectum, but also your baby. Yes. So this guy is supposed to stretch out and open, but also help for birthing. Yes. A few of its functions are urinary control, so it allows you to go to the loo, open, pee, close, and then walk out. Yes. If we didn't have control, we'd probably be peeing non-stop or not peeing at all, okay? It also assists vaginally with intercourse, sensation, but also pushing the baby out. That's the canal that it allows it to go through. And then rectally, the same way, like we have the urinary area, to be able to hold feces, control feces movement. If we didn't have control, we would probably be leaking some feces or not be able to push out at all. So all of these areas are controlled by this wonderful group of muscles called the pelvic floor.
So why is it important for me to take care of my pelvic floor? Yeah. And how do I even do it? There's a lot about Kegels. What are they? How do you do them? And why is the pelvic floor so important? I may not be pregnant. I'm not pregnant. Yeah. But why is it important?
Okay. So one of the things, like we'll start with Kegels, for example. It's an exercise that is known worldwide. It's something that is prescribed left, right, and center. You may not be a candidate for it because initially people were told, oh, you've got this, go and do Kegels, everything will be fine.
But all women are supposed to do Kegels?
Actually, no. There's almost 50% of women who should not be doing Kegels.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So Kegels Kegel is an exercise, just like we call bicep training. Yeah. Same way Kegel is an exercise for the pelvic floor. And it is prescribed to you if you have weakness, okay? So weakness would be unable to control urine, unable to control feces, unable to control gas, having some things like prolapse, which we'll talk about later on. If you have any of those, then we need to do Kegels so we can strengthen you. But it doesn't just stop at Kegels, there's a lot more incorporated into it. So for example, you can do the Kegel contraction, which is clenching of the floor. On a yoga ball. Yeah, on a yoga ball. You could do it while you're running. You could do it while you're doing other exercises.
I thought you do it when you're just sitting like here.
No. So there's many ways you can do the Kegel based on what we find. So this has to be prescribed to you because of what we have found, as opposed to just making it as part of a statement of go and do Kegels 10 times a day forever.
So are you saying that this was misinformation to women, that we must all do Kegels?
Correct. Yes. And so the other 50% of women who don't need Kegels are candidates who have tight pelvic floors. They need the complete opposite of Kegels. They need relaxation strategies, they need more stretching, and they don't need to go anywhere towards strength training of the floor. So this is why it's important to know, are you a candidate for it? And sometimes gynecologists may not go to the extent of explaining this to you in your appointment, because maybe it's not even in their scope of practice. This is where the physiotherapist comes in place.
Okay, so what I want you to tell us is, who is the candidate?
Yeah.
And if you are a candidate, how do you do that?
Okay, so let's say you came in and you said, Khiloni, you know, before I reach the bathroom, I wet my pants, okay? I know I need to go, but before I get in there, I managed to wet my pants. Now I'm considering maybe you have some weakness. So once I've done your assessment, which we'll go through in a bit, and we find out that you have a weak pelvic floor, it's my job to teach you how to do it correctly. Because sometimes when I tell you do a Kegel, people are holding their breath, they're holding their legs, and they're holding their
urine.
Yeah, which is terrible.
I read that you're actually supposed to pretend you're in a room full of people and you're about to pass wind and you hold.
Exactly.
That's the right way to do it. So
exactly.
Which one?
So that's one way. Sometimes, and like you mentioned, people were told go into the bathroom, pee and stop peeing, and do a couple of those. And that's a bad thing to do as well, because you may get bacterial infections from retaining some urine, and it's a bad thing to do. However, if you want to feel the right muscles, I advise people go to the washroom, in the middle of your pee, stop peeing. And that is the way you find out this is what a Kegel is. But you don't do it in the washroom. Now you know how to do it, so you're going to go and do it outside, not while you're peeing again. So for you to understand how to do it, that's one way. But I go through several techniques with the patient, because sometimes they may not be able to relate with those sorts of things, and we figure out how they're going to understand this. And basically we just want you to squeeze and lift this area and relax, squeeze and lift this area and relax, and that's what a Kegel is. Just conscious control of strength. So this again depends on the severity of the findings. If somebody really requires to initiate and ignite it, maybe we'll go much more frequent within the first 6 weeks, and then we sort of wean off. And this is not something people have to do for the rest of their life and every single day, because sometimes people say, oh, you know, I did my Kegels religiously after I gave birth and before birth, and now it's been 3 years and I've not done it once because I didn't know if I should do it. So if somebody told you do it, they should also tell you when to stop, when to wean off, and how to go about it.
So there you have information about Kegels. I thought as long as you're a woman, you must do it every day. But Khiloni has told us you don't have to do your Kegels every day. So thank you so much for watching. Please share this video with somebody who really needs to hear this information. What are Kegels? When should you do it? And why should you even be taking care of your pelvic floor muscles? Khiloni, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much.